Hello. As we get ready to study slope, in order to find the slope, we'll actually be finding the slope of a line. In order to find the slope of a line, we are going to need to know how to find a horizontal distance between 2 points and a vertical distance between 2 points. So although this may seem pretty easy, it's really setting us up for finding the slope. So finding the slope is going to be super easy as well. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to find both the horizontal and vertical distances between 2 points in a coordinate plane. Alrighty, so first of all, horizontal distance, if you can think horizontal goes this way and the x-axis also goes that way. And then vertical distance goes up and down and the y-axis goes up and down. So vertical distance is a y distance. So when I'm asking you to find a horizontal distance, I'm asking you to find the x distance. And if I'm asking you to find the vertical distance, I'm looking for a y distance. And when I'm talking about distance, it's just how far away are the points. So the first one, if I look at example 1, how far apart are the points A and B? This is looking for a horizontal distance, or an x distance, I will call it. And to do this, we simply can just count. If I start at A, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces connecting A and B. So my how far apart are they? They are 5 apart. Okay, and then on this one, how far apart are the points C and D? This would be a y, or a vertical distance. And to figure out how far apart they are, again, start at C, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 units away from each other. So my vertical distance will be 3. Okay, so the next example is how far apart are the points M and N? Notice without the distance formula, which we won't learn until geometry, we can't figure that out, but we can find the vertical and horizontal distances apart, even though they're not just horizontally or vertical away from each other. So to get the horizontal or x distance, we're going to go right here. And actually, it's helpful if you draw yourself a triangle connecting those two, or like a right triangle. And then the bottom part going across is going to be your x distance, and your part up here is going to be your y distance. And it's kind of nice sometimes if you use a different color. I don't feel like switching my color of my pen every time because it takes me longer to shoot the video. So sorry about that. But we're just going to go, that's kind of helpful if you do that. Okay, so the horizontal distance is the x distance. So if I'm looking at this x distance, I'm going from here to here. So if I start at M, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So the horizontal distance is 5. And my vertical distance, start at N, I'll go 1, 2, 3, is 3 once again. Okay, one thing I do want to point out is that I could start at either side. It doesn't matter. So if I, for instance, if I found that vertical distance again, if I started at the bottom and worked up top, I still get a distance of 3. Okay, so now we're just going to do a couple more examples, and then I will do a few, and then I'll have you do a few. So we're going to find the horizontal x and vertical y distances between the 2 points. So once again, we are going to draw a right triangle connecting the 2 points. So this will be our x distance, and this will be our y distance. And then from here, it's basically just counting again. So if I start at E, I'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So my x distance is 4. And then for my y distance, we're going to start at F, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So my y distance is going to be 5. All right, my next one again, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a right triangle connecting the two. Whoops, I went a little far on that one. Sorry about that. Okay, so my x distance and my y distance, again, I'm going to always label those to make sure that we are set. And if we're unsure at all, notice that this is labeled the x-axis and this is labeled the y-axis to help us out. So my x distance, if I start at B, I have to go over 1, 2 to get to that point. And then my y distance, I'm going to start up at A. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my y distance would be 5. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you here. Again, I'm going to go ahead and connect. And there we go. I guess I could have been a little straighter. Sorry about that. Okay, once again, I have my x distance and my y distance, and I'm going to kind of insist that you always label those because it's just going to make it a lot easier to work. Okay, so my x distance, I'm going to start at C and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my y distance, I'm going to start down here this time and go up towards D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're both, what that y distance is 5. Okay, one thing I'm just going to show that I could have done, and it would have been totally okay. I could have drawn the triangle up here instead, connecting, as long as I draw a right triangle connecting them. Notice my y distance would still be 5, and my x distance would still be 6. So it really does not matter. And hopefully so far you're finding these pretty easy to do. So now I'm going to let you try some on your own. So at this point in time, would you please pause the video? You're going to try D, E, and F. And then when you are done, you are going to come back and watch me work it and see how you did. Alrighty, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and find the distance between E and F. I seem to have lost it. There's my pen back. Okay, I'm going to draw that triangle connecting, a right triangle connecting E and F, label my X and my Y. My X distance is just going to be 1, and my Y distance, starting at the bottom, I count 1, 2, 3. All right, G to H is just a vertical distance. So notice there is no X distance, so my X distance is going to be 0. And then my Y distance is going to, starting at H, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the biggest thing is notice I don't start counting until I move from the H. All right, and then my last one, I'm actually going to draw a triangle up here this time. The right triangle connecting the two. Whoops, that was really crooked. I have my X distance and my Y distance. My X distance, starting at L, I'm going to have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And then for my Y distance, starting down at R, I'd have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Okay, so that's that. Alrighty, now what we're going to be doing is finding the X distance and Y distances when I'm given 2 points. So we'll fill that blank in just a second. So we're going to consider the points 3, -1, and -2, 2. So I'm first of all going to do it the way that we've been doing it. I'm going to go ahead and draw my right triangle connecting the 2 points. I've got my X distance, I've got my Y distance. And then from here, if I count, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my Y distance, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Okay, so, but sometimes it is not always convenient to draw the picture. Like if they ask you to find the distance between points, having to draw the picture every time is just kind of a pain. And if you don't have graph paper, especially, it doesn't turn out so well. So how can you do it without having a picture? So that's what we're going to be looking at. How could we get 5 and 3 without that? So if you think about the point X and Y, okay, these are both X's and these are both the Y's. All right, so what we can do to get that distance is to subtract. So that's exactly what we are going to do. All right, so we are going to, it doesn't really matter which one you start with. I'm just going to circle the point that I'm going to start with. So I'm going to take the X value minus the X value. So I'm going to take 3 minus -2. And sometimes it helps like to underline or something that they're both X values. So I'll do 3 minus -2, leave, change opposite. Notice I get 5. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the Y's. I'm going to have, I'll do a squiggly for the Y's. -1 minus 2. I'll do leave, change opposite. -1 plus -2 is -3. Please notice that I got a negative, but for now, not in the next lesson, we will not ignore the negative. But for this one, if I just want a Y distance, we'll just call it 3 because you can't have a negative distance. Okay, so, but keep that in mind for our next time around. The numbers will make a difference. Please notice that if I would have gone the other way first, it doesn't really matter. So if I would have done the X distances going the other way first, I could have done -2 minus 3. That would have given me -5. But remember, for now, we're going to ignore that negative sign. And then the Y's, I would have done 2 minus -1, and I would have gotten 3 again. So notice we just kind of had to cross off the negative in either or, but you just have to be consistent. Start with the same one each time. Okie doke. So we're going to try a few here. So I'm going to label these are both X's, and the second points are always Y. And if you have to, again, just label X, Y so remember how those are. So I'm going to start with my X distances. And again, it doesn't matter which way you go. I'm just going to start first number minus second number. So 1 minus 15. 1 minus 15 is -14. Feel free to use a calculator for that. And for now, in this video, we're going to ignore the negative, so my X distance would be 14. Okay? And then my Y distance, I'm going to do 10 minus 2. 10, whoops, I put squigglies under there. 10 minus 2 is 8. So that would be my Y distance. If I would have gone the other way, I just want to show you, if I would have done 15 minus 1, and I would have gotten 14, and then I would have done 2 minus 10, and that would have given me -8, and then I would have ignored the negative for now. Okay, so either way is okay, but you have to stay consistent which way you do it. Alrighty, next one, we're going to label my X's and then label my Y's. So I'm going to start with those X's again. And again, I'm just going to stick with the first number minus the second number. I just kind of like that. So we're going to do 4 minus negative 10. Leave change opposite will give me 14. And if you don't feel like doing leave change opposite, just grab your calculator. It'll give you the same answer. And then my y distance, let me put squigglies under my y's. I'm going to have negative 5 minus negative 8. And again, I'm going to do leave change opposite. When I do that, I get 3. Again, you could just plug it in your calculator. Okay, I did want to show you again that if I would have gone the other way, what would have happened? So if I've gone right to left, I would have gotten negative 2 minus 4. That would have given me negative 14. And for now, we would have ignored the negative sign. And then negative 8 minus negative 5 would have given me negative 3. And again, for now, we would have ignored that negative sign because right now we're just talking about distances. Okay, I'm going to do one more here. My x distance and my y distance. So x and y and y. I'm going to underline my x's. So if I subtract, I'm going to get 25 minus 75. That will give me negative 50. And again, for right now, this video, we're going to ignore that negative sign. And then my y distance will be negative 3 minus negative 3. So if I do leave change opposite, negative 3 and a positive 3 is going to be 0. So there is a 0 y distance between those two. Alrighty, you are up. At this point in time, you are going to pause the video. You are going to do L, M, and N. And then when you're done, you're going to go ahead and come back to the video and see how you did. Please remember at any point in time, if you just do not get what's going on and have to just not pause the video and watch me do it, there is nothing wrong with that. But I would like you to at least try to attempt to see if you can get it on your own. Alrighty, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and find those distances. So I'm going to label my x and label my y and my y. Underline my x's. This time on these 3 problems, I'm going to go right to left just to change it up a little bit here. So I'm going to do 45 minus 35. 45 minus 35 is 10. If you would have gone the other way, you would have gotten negative 10. And for now, we would have ignored the negative. All right. And then, excuse me, I went right to left, so I'm going to remember that. Negative 15 minus 100. Negative 15 minus 100 is negative 115. And for today, we're going to be ignoring that negative. And again, if I would have done it the other way, I just wouldn't have gotten a negative. Alrighty, M, x and x, y and y. And this time again, I'm going to go that right to left. So with my x's, I'm going to underline them. I'm going to have 70 minus 80. 70 minus 80 is negative 10. And for this lesson, we will just ignore the negative. And then my y values, I'll do negative 20 minus 10. Negative 20 minus 10 is negative 30. And once again, for this lesson, we will ignore the negative. So you should have gotten 10 over 30, either 10 and 30, either way that you did it. Okay, last one here. We are going to have x and y and y. And this time I think I'll go left to right. So for my x distance, I'll do 30 minus 30. 30 minus 30 is 0. So notice either way I would have done that. That's what I've gotten. And then for my y distance, put little squiggles under my y's, 7 minus negative 2 will give me 9. And had you done it the other way, you would have gotten a negative 9, but you just make it positive for today only. Whoop, okay, and I guess that is it. That is how you find a horizontal and vertical distance between 2 points, and hopefully now you are really good at doing it. So slope will just be a breeze for you when we get to the next lesson.